Hello, Pewter people. Scott Reynolds here with another Pewter Pulse. Are the Bucs a few players away from being legit Super Bowl contenders? I think so. And maybe outside linebacker Hassan Reddick, who was signed in free agency, might be one of those players. The others should come in the 2025 NFL draft, the way Tampa Bay general manager Jason Licht and his staff have been drafting players. I'll discuss this topic in today's Pewter Pulse. But first, your reminder, hit the thumbs up button, give this video a like, also leave a comment. I love reading those comments. And doing those two things helps us with the YouTube algorithm and gets our videos and our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel in front of more awesome Bucs fans like you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button too as we inch closer to 18,000 subscribers on our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. Now on to today's Pewter Pulse. If Jason Licht and Todd Bowles can select 2 to 3 more impact players from this year's draft, the Bucs could be real Super Bowl contenders and maybe even Super Bowl favorites in the NFC. You know, Jason Licht does not get enough credit for being one of the league's top general managers, especially when it comes to the draft. Not only has he assembled an incredible staff of scouts that has also spawned 2 NFL general managers in John Robinson and John Spytek, but he also works extremely well with Todd Bowles and the Bucs coaching staff when it comes to selecting players. As good as some of the drafts that Licht had with Bruce Arians, his more recent drafts with Todd Bowles have been spectacular. If you ask most NFL general managers what a successful draft looks like, they'll tell you it's drafting a Pro Bowler in the first round and then finding another starter, as well as a depth piece or two in any draft class. If a team has 7 draft picks, the realistic goal is to have at least 2 of those players get a second contract with the team. The draft itself is a crapshoot, and half a team's picks, likely those day 3 selections, generally don't pan out because of the numbers game. What Licht and his staff have been able to do since 2018 is quite remarkable. I've identified 24 impact starters from the last 7 drafts. That's an average of nearly 4 players per draft class, which is about double the ideal goal when it comes to draft hits. Since 2018, Licht has drafted 4 players who have been to at least 1 Pro Bowl in Vita Vea, Devin White, Tristan Wirfs, and Antoine Winfield Jr. And it wouldn't be a stretch to see several others, including Yaya Diaby, Kalijah Cansey, Zion McCollum, Luke Gedeke, Cody Mauch, Graham Barton, Bucky Irving, and Tyke Smith ascend to a Pro Bowl level at some point in the future. All those guys have the potential to be that caliber of a player. So let's take a look at some of the impact players that the Bucs have drafted since 2018 that have identified 2 years prior to winning the team's Super Bowl 55 in 2020. Licht doesn't get enough credit for the 2018 draft, which produced 4 starters on the 2020 Super Bowl team, including Vita Vea, who is still with the Bucs. The next year, Licht did it again with 4 more impact starters in Devin White and 3 key members of the Bucs secondary in Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamel Dean, and Mike Edwards. Because top outside linebacker reserve Anthony Nelson is on his 3rd multi-year contract with the Bucs and has 18 starts under the belt, I took the liberty of including him as a key draft hit. He's kind of like Jason Licht's version of Will Golston, one of those glue guys along the defensive front. So that's 9 impact players in 2 drafts. That's outstanding. The 2020 draft was impacted by COVID-19, and Licht had to phone in those draft selections from his house. Yet the 2020 draft wasn't about quantity, it was about quality. Licht drafted 2 All-Pros back-to-back in Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. Both started as rookies, and both helped the Bucs win Super Bowl 55. With every Super Bowl starter re-signed the next year, the 2020 draft wasn't about finding more starters, it was about finding key depth. And it was actually one of Light's worst drafts. I didn't include top pick Joe Tryon-Shoyinka on this list because he truly wasn't an impact player, even though he was a starter. And he was not worth the first round investment. The only salvageable player from this dud of a draft class was Robert Hainsey, who started for 2 years at center after the sudden loss of Ryan Jensen in the 2022 training camp. He's now the starting center in Jacksonville. But Light and Company rebounded hard the next year with a fantastic draft class in 2022. I'm not including top pick Logan Hall because he's a backup and hasn't developed into an impact player just yet. But Tampa Bay nailed 4 starters in Luke Gedeke, Rashad White, Cade Otton, and Zion McCollum, which makes up for the whips and misses in the previous draft class. All the players you see on this graphic are still with the team, with the exception of Hainsey. The Bucs' hot drafting continued over the most recent 2 years. Kalijah Kancey, Cody Mauch, and Yaya Diaby are all hits from the 2023 draft class and have become impact players. I'm including Servassier Dennis on this list because he's penciled in as a starter right now, and the team has high hopes for him. Last year, the Bucs draft was just as good, if not better. Graham Barton has the Pro Bowl potential at center, while Light nailed both third-round picks with defensive back and ball hawk Tyke Smith, as well as number 3 wide receiver Jalen McMillan, who had 8 touchdowns as a rookie last year. Then the Bucs drafted 1,000-yard rusher Bucky Irving in the 4th round to cap off a tremendous draft class. Where Jason Licht and the Bucs have succeeded is not just hitting on first and second round picks, but also mining day 3 for not just quality backups, but some real gems who can be impact starters. As of right now, the Bucs are expected to start 4 day 3 players in 2025, and Bucky Irving and Cade Otton, a pair of 4th round picks, and Zion McCollum and Servassier Dennis, a pair of 5th rounders. And the Bucs aren't just starting these players out of necessity, they're starting them because of their skill. That's exceptional drafting. Tampa Bay is coming off a 10-win season and a 4th straight NFC South championship. There aren't any vacancies in the starting lineup outside of nickel cornerback if Tyke Smith moves to strong safety. Outside of finding a starting nickelback or a safety, depending on what Smith does, there could be a few upgrades if the Bucs find a linebacker better than Servassier Dennis this year, or a cornerback better than Jamel Dean. That might be it. Because there aren't many holes in the starting lineup, this draft class may not make the immediate impact that the last 2 drafts have made in Tampa Bay. But if Light and Bowles can draft a linebacker to be the heir apparent to Levante David and step in as a starter next season in 2026, next to Servassier Dennis, and draft the ball-hawking defensive back or 2 in the secondary, and get one more edge rusher in case Hassan Reddick is not as good as advertised and or Chris Braswell doesn't pan out. The 2025 draft in Tampa Bay should be another hit with how well the Bucs have drafted in recent years. And it should be good enough to maybe put the Bucs over the top in the NFC. We'll find out in less than a month if that's the case. We'll also find out sooner rather than later if we're going to hit 18,000 subscribers on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. You could help out in that. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's free. And that's where you'll find more Pewter Pulse videos that I do, as well as our Bucs draft content, and of course, our Pewter Report podcast. They're all at Pewter Report TV, so check that out. Make sure you follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report, and pewterreport.com, the mothership, for all of the Bucs draft scoop. And we'll have those draft previews coming up soon with our Bucs best bets, as well as another new Bucs mock draft, 7 rounds, from Pewter Report next Thursday. So be sure to check that out. And I'll be back soon with the new Pewter Pulse.